All right, so today we're going to really dig into Thailand's future plans. Specifically, we're looking at Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra's 2025 plans. And it's really interesting that all of this came out as like part of her 90-day progress report for the administration. I mean, that's pretty transparent right out the gate.
Yeah, it really is. It kind of sets a tone for accountability from the start. Like, you can't help but notice that even the campaign slogan, Opportunity Thailand, making it happen, is all about results.
Exactly. And she's not just making promises, she's like tackling everyday issues head on. Flooding, air pollution, drug trafficking, stuff that affects like everyone's lives.
Right. By addressing these day-to-day problems, I think she's trying to build trust with the public. And she's not just talking. Take air quality, for example. There's a specific target for PM 2.5 reduction, so you know they're going to be tracking and measuring progress. That kind of accountability is really key.
And then there's that direct hotline to the PM for reporting drug activity. Yeah. And that's a bold move. Do you think it'll work?
It definitely shows that they're serious about tackling the drug problem, but it's also a huge challenge. Like, how can they guarantee the privacy and safety of the people reporting information? That's going to be crucial.
Okay, let's talk economics. PM Paetongtarn seems really focused on empowering small businesses and breaking down monopolies. I was struck by the plan to let farmers export rice directly. What kind of impact could that have?
Well, right now, just a few big companies control rice exports. If farmers can export on their own, there'll be more competition and farmers could get a much larger share of the profits. It could totally change the agricultural sector.
And it seems connected to the idea of bringing more businesses into the formal economy. Didn't I read that something like half of Thailand's GDP comes from unregistered businesses?
Yeah, you're right. Bringing those businesses in could really boost government revenue and make the economy more stable. But it's tricky. There will be resistance from businesses that are used to working outside the system. And how do you enforce regulations without hurting people who work in the informal sector?
Now, the PM's vision for Thailand as a regional hub for AI and tech, that's fascinating. They're already getting big investments in data centers.
It's a bold vision. I mean, the global competition in tech is fierce. To succeed, Thailand needs to invest in education and skills development. I wonder if they're ready for that challenge.
That's where programs like One District, One Scholarship come in. Giving students access to tech and language skills seems so important.
It's a good start, but there are a lot of questions. How will they fund this scholarship? What about the selection process? Will they focus on certain areas of study? How will they measure the program's success?
And those summer camps abroad for Thai students, that sounds like an amazing way to give them a broader perspective.
Yeah, exposure to different cultures and ways of thinking is really important for encouraging innovation. And they have the plan to upgrade schools in each district. They'd become centers for tech and language learning. Investing in people is just as important as attracting foreign investment in technology.
Okay, now let's talk about the Home for Thais plan. 30 square meter condos near public transit for just 4,000 baht a month. That's a great deal, especially for first-time buyers who are struggling with high housing costs.
It sounds amazing, but let's look at the details. These condos come with a 99-year lease. That's interesting. And they're specifically for first-time buyers. What impact will that have on the rest of the housing market? Can they actually provide affordable options in good locations? And how will they make sure these units are distributed fairly?
It's a good question. And it raises the possibility of unintended consequences, like what if this program drives up property values in the area? That could make housing even less affordable for people who don't qualify. These are the kinds of things they need to think carefully about.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's easy to get excited about these ambitious plans. We have to think about the downsides, too. Let's talk about the digital wallet and debt relief initiatives. They seem different at first, but I feel like they're connected. Yeah, you're right. They're both ways of getting money directly to Thai citizens. One through stimulus and the other through reducing debt.
So explain the digital wallet. Is it like a government e-payment system? And it's starting with vulnerable groups and seniors before maybe going wider?
Exactly. That phased approach is smart. It lets them test the system before they roll it out to everyone.
That's interesting. What are some of the pluses and minuses of this digital wallet thing?
Well, on the plus side, it could streamline government assistance, make it easier for people to get the help they need, and it could help with financial inclusion, especially for people who don't have bank accounts. But there are worries about privacy and security, too. How will they protect the system from fraud? That's a really important question.
And how does this fit in with global trends? There's so much interest in fintech and government digital currencies right now.
Oh, absolutely. Thailand isn't alone in this. This initiative is part of a global shift towards digital finance. We've seen similar things in places like China and India with, mixed results. It'll be interesting to see how Thailand's approach works out.
Okay, let's move on to the debt relief plan. Pausing interest for 3 years on car loans and mortgages. That's bold. How will that even work?
It's a big plan for sure. The idea is to give people a break so they can catch up on payments without that interest piling up. They're going to use funds from the Financial Institutions Development Fund to make it happen.
Okay, can you tell me more about that fund? It sounds important.
Yeah, the FIDF was set up to keep Thailand's financial sector stable. It's a safety net. So using it for this debt relief shows they're serious about helping borrowers.
But using that money must have an impact on banks and the whole economy. What are some of the risks?
Well, that's the big question. They want to help people, but it could lead to more lending down the line. If people think the government will bail them out, they might take on more risk, and that could make the problem even worse. It's a tough balancing act.
It sounds like it. And this goes back to the bigger question of the PM's economic strategy. What do you think of her approach so far?
Well, it's a multi-pronged approach for sure. She's dealing with the immediate problems, but also trying to set things up for long-term growth. The focus on small businesses and tech is good, but like we said, there are risks and challenges with everything.
It all comes back to Opportunity Thailand, making it happen. How effective is that message? Do you think people are buying it?
The slogan is good. It's optimistic and action-oriented, and it shows they want to see real progress. From what I've seen, it's resonating with a lot of people. There's a sense of hope, and that's important for any government that wants to make real change.
It's an exciting time for Thailand. So much potential, but also a lot of uncertainty about how it'll all turn out.
Uncertainty is a good word. We've talked about all the good things that could happen, but what about the challenges? What obstacles might get in the PM's way?
You're right. It's easy to announce big ideas, but actually making them happen is hard. What are the biggest hurdles?
Well, money is a big one. Scholarships, debt relief, the digital wallet, affordable housing. It's all going to cost a lot. Where will the money come from?
Good point. They need to find a way to pay for all of this without raising taxes or hurting the economy. And then there's the bureaucracy. Even with the best intentions, government can be so slow and complicated.
Exactly. There are bound to be delays and inefficiencies. They'll need strong leadership and clear communication to keep everything on track.
And we can't forget about public opinion. Not everyone will be happy with these changes. There will be criticism. How should the government handle that?
Transparency and open dialogue are essential. They need to explain why they're doing this, and they have to listen to people's concerns. Building trust is so important.
And what about the global situation? Thailand's economy is connected to the rest of the world. How could outside factors affect these plans?
That's a key point. Things like trade wars, currency fluctuations, even global politics can have a big impact on Thailand. The government needs to be flexible, ready to change course if necessary. They can't just assume everything will go perfectly.
So we've talked about funding, bureaucracy, public opinion, global factors. Anything else?
Well, we've touched on it before, but it's worth repeating. Unintended consequences. Even with good planning, sometimes things just don't turn out the way you expect.
Can you give me an example?
Sure. The debt relief program. It's supposed to help borrowers, but it might encourage lenders to be less careful, and that could end up making the debt problem worse. Or think about the affordable housing plan. What if it causes property prices to go up in the surrounding area? That could make housing even less affordable for people who don't qualify for the program.
I see what you mean. It shows how important it is to keep track of everything.
Yeah.
And to be willing to make changes if something isn't working.
Exactly. You need a balance of vision and practicality, and you have to be able to adapt.
It's a lot to think about. We've covered a lot today. The potential benefits of these plans and the very real challenges. PM Paetongtarn definitely has a bold vision. But will it actually happen?
That's the question for our listeners. If all this works out, what will Thailand look like in 10 years? Will these initiatives create more prosperity and opportunity for everyone? Or will they make the existing problems worse? Those are questions we should all be thinking about.
It's an exciting time. We'll be watching closely to see what happens. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deeper.